Seeing this title, the first thing that came to my mind was Fela's song.
Water.
You know, get
No
the
get
enemy.
enemy.
But sometimes we make ourselves enemies of water, you know. But just to raise the issues of how important it is, every 22nd day in March is set aside to celebrate water every year. Now, the day is celebrated to raise awareness of the global water crisis, and a core focus of the observance is to support the achievement of that Sustainable Development Goal 6, which is water and sanitation for all by 2030. In other words, water and sanitation for all within the next 9 years. Let it be clear, 2030 is not very far.
How much water do we have? I mean, I'm talking about potable water now. Do we have across Nigeria?
And how much do we need, right? Well, that's why we have two guests this morning. It's in the interest of peace and stability. Perhaps also that underscores the theme for the year, which is valuing water.
We value it, all right. We do.
Oh,
Just
really?
that we can't find it.
You value it in terms of how much you purchase it, or how important it
But
is.
we know how important it is.
Especially because
You can't cook without water. You can't bath without water. You can't clean without
you
water.
can't even live without it, because scientists will tell you that some 70% of your body
is water.
Water. So,
So
all right, we have two people on our panel this morning to discuss this. Mrs. Clementina Chinwe-Tivie is National President, Association of Table Water Producers of Nigeria, ATWAP. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we also have with us Professor Tunde Odesanya, who is a professor of environmental and analytical chemistry, and he's Dean of Faculty of Science, Southwestern University, Okonwa in Ogun State. And he's also Fellow, Institute of Public Analysts of Nigeria, IPAN, and Chairman, Examinations Board of IPAN. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Prof. Okay, well, while we wait for him, well, Mrs. Tivie, we talk about water every day because we use water every day. Why is celebrating water essential?
Celebrating water is celebrating life. Life cannot be without water. Water is life. And like you know, there is basically nothing human beings can do without water. Even animals, even plants. So when we talk about life, we talk about water. And this is Water Week. And we are in now by Monday, which is World Water Day, 22nd of every March. 22nd March of every year. It's World Water Day. And the theme of this year is valuing water. We cannot, the value of water cannot be quantified.
Are we in any way undervaluing the value of water?
We, the producers of potable water, table water, we add value, not just to the water, to life itself, and to the public.
No. What I mean is, when it was decided that the theme for World Water Day for this 22nd of March, World Water Day, would be valuing water, I'm wondering what gave rise to that, what made that necessary? Because, I mean, just as you heard Alero said earlier, water is life. You have also said the same thing. So in what way do we undervalue how critical water is as a people?
The value attached to life is the same value you attach to water. And
we attach, or that we should attach to.
We should.
Huh.
We should.
Okay.
Because there's really nothing you can do in life without water. Be it medication, be it food, be it economy, be it health, be it labor, whatever it is.
Okay.
Without water, you can't get to anywhere.
Mrs. Ativie, that being the case, do you think that governments across the land are doing enough to give the people water, since water is essential to our existence?
I would say yes, and I would say no. I would say yes on the fact that there is government. But I would say no on the fact that they are not doing enough. They are not doing enough because the producers, the water producers, are not given the enabling environment to strive. A lot of challenges.
Yes. I was asking that question because if government were doing enough, we wouldn't even need you guys. When I was growing up, you opened a tap, you put your hand under the tap and you drank water, and nothing happened to you.
Good.
But now, you open the tap and you drink water, ha ha, I'm sorry for you. That is even if you open the tap and water comes out. Many taps don't even have water coming out of them.
Yeah, in this case, that is where not only valuing water this time is important, but valuing the people that are adding value to the water you are taking.
People who are producing the water that we can drink.
Yes, because without us, in fact, I must tell you, without water producers, I don't think by now we'll be talking the way we are talking.
Well, let's, I don't know if Professor Odesanya will agree with you. He's also with us this morning in this conversation. So, Professor Odesanya, Goal 6, water and sanitation for all by 2030. I'm sure you've heard that water for all by year this, by year that. You've heard it forever. And we're still talking about the same thing. So, how far so far? And since we have just 9 years to meet that Sustainable Development Goal 6, just 9 years. What are your hopes?
Professor?
Professor Odesanya, can you hear? If you don't mind, could you please unmute your microphone, the microphone on your device, so we can hear what you're saying?
Can you hear me now, please?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Very good. The stakes that you mentioned actually in the further initial.
Professor Odesanya, the audio is not very good right now, but we'll get back to you on that issue so we can really enjoy this conversation. Well, just as we have heard earlier, Mr. Ativie, our body contains 70% water. It's not only for consumption, for drinking, that we really need to evaluate. So when you say government isn't doing enough with water, I know, I mean, you would want to speak for your association, but let's speak more broadly for the use of water generally, even beyond production of it, the use of it. One of the things that came to my mind about this conversation on World Water Day was that in Bauchi State, or is it Bauchi or Borno State, a good number of local communities all over the country, you see a situation where people literally scoop water from drainages, to drink. So one wonders, what more? I mean, if you say what government is not doing enough for producers of table water, that can be understood. But what needs to be done, and by whom, for those who need the water very, very critically, anywhere they are in this country?
In fact, you know fully well that there is water under the ground. It does not take government anything to dig boreholes from community to community. Make sure they are treated. Government can treat water just the way water producers are treating water, in a more elaborate form, industrial form, and then disseminate it to the public. It does not take the government anything. The kind of figures of money we hear every day is just a minute to what you can add up and give the community water. There are some individuals that even open boreholes for communities. So, like Bauchi, most part of northeast, north central, even in the east, there are some communities that water is a problem. And that is where we bridge the gap. Because there is no nick and cranny of this country you don't see a sachet of water. And it has come to the consciousness of people that they call it pure water. They have the confidence that there is nowhere you go today, even in the thickest community, you will see a sachet of water. People have taken that water with confidence that, yes, it is pure.
At least it's better from the one that I scooped from down.
Exactly.
Okay,
and there is no place today you can't find pure water, even if you don't see table water. That's the truth.
Okay. Well, Professor Adesanya, glad to have you. You heard the question the other time, but we couldn't hear you well. Could you please go ahead now? The SDG Goal 6, water and sanitation for all. Okay, let me add this. Water and sanitation for all Nigerians by 2030. Yeah. How far so far? We only have 9 years.
Thank you very much. In the first instance, you will see that the water issue, we are doing all this because water is a scarce resource. Only about 5% of water available is actually drinkable. So if we know that, we have been trying to look for ways to ensure that water issues are properly managed. Like the madam said earlier, this year's theme is value water, because we are not really putting proper value on water. Therefore, SDG 6 is actually a product of the initial goals that were set that couldn't be attained by the year 2020. Now, WASH, that is water and health sanitation, is actually a way to ensure that we should get our waters properly in place. What is happening right now is that the water issue is becoming more and more difficult to handle. And until we can get pure, good water to people, drinkable water to them, we're going to have issues continuously. So that is what I can say as an introductory part of our talk.
But we'll still stay with you. Okay, go ahead.
Prof, what is this about a global water crisis?
Madam, there is a proper global water crisis. And the issue is because, although we see water all around us, only about 5% of it is actually drinkable. That is directly. That's what's called fresh water. Now, unless we treat water properly, we cannot get enough. Look at the use of water all over the place. Water for industry, water for, households, water for almost everything we're doing. And then the amount you have is very, very minimal. Therefore, the need to make water, sanitation and hygiene very important is very critical. And Agenda 21 by the UN was actually what started this water goals we are setting. These targets are set so that countries all over the world can actually work to achieve those objectives. So there are things that we know are able to, are achievable at the end of the day. Doing that, all of us need to buy into this idea to ensure that, things are done properly. Thank you.
Well, you're going to have to address that question again, Professor Adesanya, and to elaborate on a question that Alera asked earlier. WorldWildlife.org says, as a result, some 1.1 billion people worldwide lack access to water, and a total of 2.7 billion find water scarce for at least 1 month of the year. Well, that's in itself underscores how serious the crisis is. And that is what we have for now. We don't know what is going to happen next. As a matter of fact, the report also says that by 2025, which is just 2 years away, 2/3 of the world's population may face water shortages. Nigeria is part of this world. Professor Adesanya, what do we need to do?
First of all, we have to manage the water properly. That is, manage the water properly. That is fundamental. Our first issue is management. And this is why all these objectives are being put in place. SDG 6 addresses water. There are 17 SDGs. And I can tell people generally, these are ways that all of us have to find means of getting into. I normally tell my students that these SDGs are actually there for us.
Yes. Just one moment, Prof.
NGOs.
Just one moment, Prof. You only manage what you have access to. So the challenge here, the first challenge here, is that of even having access to the water to manage it.
I'm not hearing you again.
I said the first challenge is to have access to the water. You only have ability or capacity to manage what you have. But the challenge, the primary challenge here is access to the water.
Yes. Your voice is going. I can't hear the last part of your question.
The challenge is managing what you have. That's what you're saying. But I'm saying begin by having access to the water so you can manage it.
I will take it from where you stopped because really I couldn't hear the last part of the question.
Go ahead.
But having access to it itself is actually by increasing our sources. You understand? I'm sure some of us know that in a place like the Arabian areas, they're actually desalinating, increasing the fresh water. Because the key thing is that although water is plentiful, not all can be drank. Therefore, we can increase our access basically by things like salination that we do. They are doing in the Middle East. In the Middle East, presently, all the water they are getting is by desalination, as we call it. Saudi Arabia does this all the time. They do it in a Kuwait because basically they don't have access to fresh water. Like I said from the beginning, only 5% of the water available is actually drinkable. So first of all, is to increase the sources of the fresh water. And the easiest way is to desalinate. And that is being done in some parts of the world. Are you hearing me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Good.
Yeah, now, Prof, how difficult is it for government or private sector companies to actually treat water and supply homes?
You see, it's a problem of logistics, really. I'm sorry I didn't hear the last part as usual, but I heard the first part. What I can say is that generally, the access to water is limited as we are now, because the amount of water that's available for drinking is very, very minute, 5%. But what the world is doing right now, right around the world, is to retreat water. If you know these days that the people that are even using water, even the industries now,
well, hopefully we'll be able to get Prof back. So, because when you asked the question the other time about how much water do we have in the world, how much water do we have access to, I guess that's your answer. Just 5% of water that is available. So,
but he also said that some countries are, what was the word he used? They're removing the salt from the water and treating it so that they can give them to homes, for consumption.
Perhaps that's where the water producers come in. Now, you spoke the other time about Desalinating, yes. You spoke the other time about the need for governments at various levels to make potable water available to their people. The challenge then would be, how far so far? World Water Day has been marked since 1993, and we're still having this challenge on our hands. But we'll take that on when we return from this break. Just stay with us.
Well, during the break, Mrs. Ativia and I were talking, and she just dropped something that is an eye-opener to me. And she says that it's actually safer to drink pure water than to drink bottled water. Please explain the reason to us.
Well, when you say pure water, any pure water that is properly packaged, I can tell you, you should have more confidence in that than even the bottled water.
How so?
Good. Once you finish treating your water, we have what we call treated water tank. From that treated water tank to the pipe, to the UV filter, to the filters, to the UV filters, to the nylon itself, hands does not touch it until it gets into the distance, sealed, and then it's picked and put into the bag. But I can tell you, in the course of my duty as the national president of ATWAP, we have task force from the states, from the national to state to local level. That is our zonal level. You will see we go on surveillance in the nights, and you will see some of these chillers of water that you see and buy on the hold-up, thinking you are buying original bottled water. You will see the market women. They will pick these bottles with labels. All they need is to just put the cap. They fill it in the night. There was a particular one that myself and the task force chairman, we went there, we were with them from 11 p.m. till 2 a.m. They were just filling. They have people that pick these bottles from party places, from different places. They bring it to them. They fill it with bowl and then copy. They have the caps. People sell caps.
So they have the caps and they have the seal. Because those, I mean, when you open a bottle of water, it has to crack.
That is tamper-proof, yes. I mean, the cap itself, that when you seal the cap, if you want to open it, you have to get that. There are caps. Companies sell caps. So what I'm saying, why I'm saying this is, when you put so much confidence that you are taking bottled water, we all produce it. Be careful the source. And that is where we come in. Even the regulators cannot do anything without we, the producers. We, the people, because we know who is doing it right. We are there day and night. Who? Yes. We are there in the night. We are there in the day. I want to ask a question. When a regulator resumes work by 8 a.m., and he needs to close by 5 p.m. or 4 p.m., the period he can go out for surveillance or for routine check is within this period. What happens to people that produce from 8 p.m. till 5 a.m.? It is only the members who are the water producers. But we don't have much to do. Because number one, we don't have the enabling environment. Government don't give us backing. Even the regulators, they will tell you report to them. Yes, you will report, but how many in the whole of NAFDAC, how many staff do they have?
So
we have over 30,000 producers in Nigeria.
So your advice now to the public would be, watch where you purchase your bottled water.
Yes, watch where you purchase your bottled water at the same time to the public. Then, work with the producers. They have producers. We have water producers in all nook and crannies of this country. There are some areas that when you get to, you will have more than 5, 6, 7 producers in a street. Then to the governments, let the regulatory agencies carry the water producers along. We are the rats in the house. We are the only one that can tell you we are the madam. The one in the bush, to tell the one in the bush, we are madam, keep her Maggie. Therefore, whatever they do without us, it makes no difference, it makes no meaning. Okay. Because if we decide to gang up, even if they want to go out for a routine check, just a single drop of information on our platform, the whole factories will shut down, and then you just walk through the streets like a masquerade. You won't see anybody. And then the activities continues. In the night.
Indeed.
Yes.
Okay.
So when they come, well, whatever they need to do, let them do it. We keep telling our members, do the right thing and keep your doors open. Yeah. If there is genuine mistakes, even NAFDAC have room for you to recall back your product if there's any problem.
Yes.
You know? But a situation where everybody feels they can do what they... And I can tell you, there are a lot of quacks in the industry that need to be checkmated.
Okay. Now, Prof, in these days of coronavirus, where we have to wash our hands under running water constantly, do you not think that our problem, or should I say, the lack of water, is even a bigger issue right now? Professor, can you hear me?
I hope you can hear me too.
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me as well?
Yes.
Very good. I said, let me quickly address what Madam said about the pure water and the bottled water.
Yeah.
Both actually depend on where they are manufactured or who manufactures them. So you can also have some problem with water that is, with pure water that's actually manufactured badly. And that's a problem we have constantly seen in terms of, manufacturing practices. So I would just suggest that if you want to buy water, first thing, don't buy on the road because there's no way you can assure the quality of what you are buying. Two, ensure that even if you are buying for your house, buy from registered factories or their distributors. That way you can have some assurance that whatever you are now, that whatever you are giving, you are taking in is okay. So that is because at times too, we have problem with the water that is pure water that's not properly produced, and that's the problem. And like the Madam rightly said, most of the time, our problem has been lack of good manufacturing practices. So let me now address your question. You see, we are supposed to wash with water, not necessarily pure water, because the soap is what is doing the job when you are washing against coronavirus. The problem is actually the soap. The soap deals with the virus, not the water. The water is just to clean your water clean your hand of the soap. So in that instance, the key thing is actually the soap. The water should be enough to keep your hands clean, but the soap is supposed to deal with the virus. So that I think I should address that question as it were.
The things that you have just pointed out to us now, Prof, is that we use water for different functions. So, so largely we have spoken about potable water. From what you said now, I wanted to go to the various types of even the potable water that we have, the health angle of it. But before I get there, let me ask you, because both of you seem to have spoken along the line of the functions of government in the process of producing water, regulating the production of water. How effective would you say government has been at that, in that particular function? And when we say government here, we definitely are speaking about the agencies that are supposed to be performing that job of regulation. Because you talked about people being careful where they purchase water. You heard Madam also say that there are a good number of people in the industry who are quacks. How do people know the difference?
The first thing is to be sure of your source of the water you're drinking. I use water as well at home, but I will buy normally from a manufacturer or from the agent of that manufacturer. That way you're making some assumptions that one, that person is following what you call good manufacturing practice or GMP. Now, if, for example, we now say, what are types of water? There's at least 3 types: type A, type B, type C. You see, what we're drinking is water that we call potable water. That's the one that it has some ions, has a few things. But if you are going to, a purer extent, type B water, type A water, these are what we use mainly in, experimentation, because you want to reduce as much interference as possible when you go to, when you are doing your research, as it were. For example, if we are doing something like high performance HPLC, you would need very pure water to dissolve your materials. That is type A. It is gradually ion-free. What we take from the taps here also contains some ions, but they are not detrimental to our body. And that is the key to those ones. So what I'm saying is that the water that's important to us is potable water. We are allowed some limits of some ions in them, because there's no way it can be filtered using the processes we're using for production, and it's too expensive to produce. So those ones are not used mainly for the laboratories. Types B, A and B are the ones that are critical to laboratory work. So the water is just potable water.
Yeah,
most waters are potable.
The type you are talking about, Prof, wouldn't by any chance be those they also call alkalized water or alkaline water?
You're still talking about ions.
Okay.
And we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful defining water from that perspective.
No,
Alkaline water,
I'm just a drinker.
I understand. So people say they sell alkaline water. You have to be very careful because alkalis in the body can actually disturb your ion system in the body as well. So you have to go further and look at the effect of whatever you are doing or drinking at the end of the day. So I will say that to a large extent, potable water is water that is certified according to WHO standards as fit for drinking. It doesn't mean it contains too much alkali or that it contains no ions. It does contain ions, but then it is still found to be amenable to our body systems. That is what we do. I mean, from that perspective, so potable water is what agrees with subscription of WHO or the NIS in Nigeria as it is. NAFDAC really is a regulatory body, and like Madam said, NAFDAC closes. I mean, opens at 8 o'clock in the morning, closes at 5. These people don't work during those periods anyway. They work when everybody has gone to sleep. So I'm saying that it is actually much better from the point of view of the drinker to know where you're getting from. If you know where you're getting your water from, things are a bit better. You know the person to hold your prices. People who drink water and start complaining of diarrhea. It is because of a lot of things. And water itself is not only about the chemistry of the water. The microbiology is also very critical. Some waters should not contain particular levels of bacteria, as it were. We also know the bacteria are useful for the body anyway. They do some works on the body. But then they are not expected to be above a particular threshold. So most of the time, we have to ensure that all these requirements of the bodies that are regulating are actually okay. So I think, like potable water is potable water. It's what you can drink. And it's what agrees with classifications as laid down. So that is how to put it.
Prof, let's move away from potable water for a second and look at water for sanitation. That's also very important. And you will recall that Nigeria is aiming to eradicate open defecation by 2025, which is in 4 short years. 2025 is only 4 years away. How can we achieve that when we don't even have access to water?
First of all, Madam, I'll give you a small tip of what we found out when we surveyed the community in this Lagos state. We found out that, they were building their latrines not too far away from their pit toilets. And we found so much contamination, so much E. coli, which is a dangerous bacteria. So most of the time, it's about education. It's about education. In the villages, there's no way you can pipe water to all villages in Nigeria. It's not feasible. But train them to know that they should site their pit latrines some distance away from their wells, because there's a water table under the floor. And these things actually do mix eventually. Might take time, but they actually do mix. There's a flow of water under the floor, under the ground, as it were. So we have to educate more and more. And the problem with our policies are that they sound very, very big, on air. But when you go to the rudiments, the little things are not being done. I would expect that if the aim of government is to stop open defecation, what are the alternatives? Are we providing those alternatives? No, we are not. And if we don't do the alternatives, how will we expect them to leave what they are doing and go to what you cannot, talk about? So that is the problem I'm seeing.
All right, well, we'll have to wait perhaps for World Environmental Sanitation Day before we talk about that, because it's a completely different conversation, even though they are highly related.
Water.
Highly related, but okay, yes. So, Madam, as we wind down on this now, you have cited the challenge of access to this water as something that government can take charge of. And when we talk about government here, we're definitely talking about state governments, I want to assume. Now, what kind of intervention besides just the borehole? Because you've also heard the professor talking about the need to educate people about managing the water. What kind of conversation should we be having with our locals on that?
Presently, Lagos State government, they have an agency called the Lagos State Water Regulatory Commission, LRSWC. And presently, they are going on awareness campaign on water. And we are part of the awareness campaigners. And it's not just taking water. Just like water is life, water can also be death. Just a thin line. It's either here or here.
Especially since you can't live inside water.
Exactly. So there's enough water for the populace when it comes to drinkable water. Because I can tell you that
at
even
a cost.
Yes, at a cost. Because even the public will not even have confidence of drinking water from tap. That is the truth.
Anymore.
During our time, there was no sachet water, there was no bottled water, so we take water from tap. We go to public tap and we fetch water. But there's no more such confidence anymore. They have more confidence on packaged water.
So
therefore, the government should support the association to help them checkmate the activities of the practitioners.
Okay. Well, that's definitely a strong one for government there, and I hope that they are listening and they will take that on board. We'll have to thank you very much this morning for being a part of our conversation. Mrs. Clementina Chinwe TVA is National President, Association of Table Water Producers of Nigeria, ATWOP. Thank you very much for your time. And we've also spoken with Professor Tunde Odesanya, who is a professor of Environmental and Analytical Chemistry and is Dean of Faculty of Science, Southwestern University, Okwonwa in Ogun State, among others. Thank you so much for your time, Prof.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Sunrise continues in a moment. Just stay with us.